Out there, far beyond the planets, beyond Neptune, beyond the familiar shape of the solar system, there is a spacecraft still flying through the dark. It is not moving toward a planet anymore. It is not taking pictures. It is not waiting for a dramatic arrival. It is simply drifting farther and farther from home, carrying one of the strangest questions in space exploration. How far can Voyager 2 go before it dies forever? And the weird thing is, the answer depends on what we mean by die, because Voyager 2 will not explode. It will not crash into a wall at the edge of space. It will not suddenly vanish into nothing. Its death will be much quieter than that. One day, a signal will leave Earth, travel for many hours across billions of miles, and there will be no answer, no confirmation, no data, no tiny electronic heartbeat coming back from the dark. And when that happens, Voyager 2 will still be out there, but for us, it will be gone. Before we continue, subscribe to the channel, because stories like this remind us that space exploration is not just about where we can go, but how long a piece of humanity can survive after it leaves us behind. Voyager 2 launched in 1977, and at the time, it was not supposed to become a ghost ship of interstellar space. Its original job was already ambitious enough. It was sent on a rare journey through the outer solar system, using the gravity of one planet after another to visit worlds that no spacecraft had ever seen up close. Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune. That alone would have made Voyager one of the greatest missions ever created. It gave us our first close looks at Uranus and Neptune, and to this day, it remains the only spacecraft that has ever visited both of those distant ice giants. But after Neptune, something strange happened. The mission did not end. Voyager 2 simply kept going. It passed the last giant planet and continued downward, away from the plane where the planets orbit the sun. Slowly, year after year, it moved into a region where the sun becomes less like a star of warmth and more like just another point of light. And that is where the story becomes almost uncomfortable, because Voyager 2 is not just far away. It is far away in a way the human mind is not really built to understand. Radio signals from Earth do not reach it instantly. They crawl across space at the speed of light. And even at that speed, the journey takes many hours. So, when engineers send a command, they have to wait. And then they wait again for the reply. There is no joystick control, no real-time rescue, no quick fix. Every command is more like sending a message in a bottle across an ocean that is billions of miles wide. And still, after almost 5 decades, Voyager 2 answers. That is the beautiful part, but it is also the tragic part, because every year, Voyager 2 has a little less power than the year before. The spacecraft does not use solar panels. That would be useless this far from the sun. Instead, it runs on radioisotope thermoelectric generators, which convert heat from radioactive decay into electricity. It is a brilliant system, and it has kept the probe alive far longer than anyone had any right to expect. But it fades, slowly, a few watts at a time. And a few watts might not sound like much, until you realize that Voyager 2 is surviving on an extremely tight energy budget. Every heater, every instrument, every transmitter, every small electronic system matters. So the mission has become a careful act of triage. What do you keep alive? What do you sacrifice? What is more valuable, measuring particles, measuring magnetic fields, or keeping a part of the spacecraft warm enough not to fail? NASA has already had to make those choices. Over the years, Voyager 2's cameras were turned off. Other instruments were powered down. More recently, even scientific systems that were still useful had to be shut down to save energy for the remaining mission. That is the slow death of Voyager 2. Not one failure, not one disaster, but a controlled fading, one instrument at a time. And this is what makes the question so powerful. Voyager 2 can die in stages. The first death is the death of its science. That happens when the last remaining instruments can no longer collect useful data. For decades, Voyager 2 has been doing something almost no machine has ever done, directly measuring the environment beyond the sun's protective bubble. It is not just floating through empty space. It is sampling the interstellar medium, the thin material between stars. It is measuring fields and particles in a place where our sun is no longer in control. That data is priceless, because we have almost nothing else out there. But eventually, even those measurements will stop. One instrument will go silent, then another, then another. At some point, Voyager 2 may still have enough energy to send engineering data, but not enough to operate meaningful science instruments. That will be its first ending. The second death is the death of communication. This one is more emotional, because a spacecraft can technically still exist, still move, still carry its golden record and its history while being completely silent to us. The Deep Space Network on Earth may still be able to listen for Voyager 2 for a while, but the spacecraft needs enough power to transmit a signal strong enough to be detected across the enormous distance. And remember, the farther it goes, the weaker that signal becomes by the time it reaches Earth. Voyager's message is already incredibly faint. By the time it arrives here, it is less like hearing a voice and more like detecting the softest possible whisper in a storm. Eventually, there will not be enough power, or a key system will fail, or the spacecraft will no longer be able to keep its antenna pointed precisely at Earth, and then the final signal will come. The strange part is that we may not know it is the final signal when we receive it. There may be a last packet of data, a last carrier tone, a last tiny proof that Voyager 2 is still alive. Engineers may wait for the next contact, then the next. They may try commands. They may try recovery sequences. They may listen again. But at some point, silence becomes the answer. That is when Voyager 2 dies to us, but not to the universe. Because physically, Voyager 2 will keep going. That is the third version of its fate. After its power is gone, after its instruments are cold, after its transmitter is dead, the spacecraft will continue to drift through interstellar space. There is almost nothing out there to stop it. No atmosphere, no friction, no ocean to sink into, no ground to hit. It will become a dead machine moving through the galaxy. And this is where the timescales become almost unreal. Voyager 2 is moving fast by human standards, but painfully slowly by interstellar standards. Even at its current speed, crossing a single light year takes tens of thousands of years. That means the stars are still unimaginably far away, even for a spacecraft that has been traveling since the 1970s. In about 40,000 years, Voyager 2 will pass within roughly 1.7 light years of the star Ross 248. That sounds close, but it is still not a flyby in the way we usually imagine. It will not enter orbit. It will not break. It will not take pictures. It will simply pass through the vast darkness near another star system, silent and dead. And by then, humanity may be completely different. Our languages may have changed. Our nations may be gone. Our technology may be unrecognizable. And Voyager 2 will still be there, carrying a message from a planet, as it was in the late 20th century. That is what makes Voyager so haunting. Its mission is ending on a human timescale, but its journey is just beginning on a cosmic one. For us, it may have only a handful of years left as an active spacecraft, maybe longer if engineers keep finding clever ways to save power. NASA has already extended the lives of the Voyagers again and again by turning off systems, rerouting power, and squeezing every possible watt out of machines built in another era. But there is a limit. No amount of genius can stop radioactive decay forever. No engineering team can create power from nothing. At some point, Voyager 2 will become too weak to speak, and that ending will be strangely intimate. Not because the spacecraft is alive, of course, but because we have treated it almost like it is. We listen for it. We worry about it. We celebrate when it responds. We talk about its health, its memory, its instruments, its future. It is a machine, but it has become part of the human story. And maybe that is why the death of Voyager 2 feels different from the end of most spacecraft. Many missions end with a crash, a burn-up, or a controlled descent into a planet. Voyager 2 will not have that kind of ending. Its ending will be silence. A silent spacecraft in a silent region of space, still carrying the golden record, still carrying greetings, music, images, and sounds from Earth, long after it can no longer tell us where it is. So how far can Voyager 2 go before it dies forever? As an active mission, probably not much farther in cosmic terms. It may continue sending some form of data into the 2030s if everything goes well. But every extra year is a victory now. As a spacecraft, though, it can go almost indefinitely. It will keep drifting through the Milky Way for millions, perhaps billions of years, unless some unlikely collision or gravitational encounter changes its path. Long after its electronics freeze into permanent silence, long after its power fades, long after Earth stops hearing from it, Voyager 2 will still be moving. And that means its true death is not simple. It will die first as a scientist, then as a voice, but as an object, as a tiny human artifact crossing the galaxy. It may outlive every monument we have ever built. One day, the last signal from Voyager 2 will arrive at Earth. It may be weak, it may be ordinary, it may not seem historic in the moment, but hidden inside that silence will be something enormous. The end of one of the longest conversations humanity has ever had with a machine. A conversation that began on Earth, crossed Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune, passed beyond the planets, entered interstellar space, and kept going until even the sun was no longer enough to keep it alive. And when Voyager 2 finally stops speaking, it will not really be the end of the journey. It will only be the end of our ability to follow it. Because somewhere in the dark, far beyond the planets, beyond the reach of our commands, beyond the warmth of the sun, Voyager 2 will still be moving, dead to us, but still carrying Earth. If you enjoyed this journey, watch the video on screen next, where we explore what happens to spacecraft like Voyager after millions and even billions of years in deep space.